James Melendez, James the Wine Guy. Stay tuned for episode number 1700. Stay tuned. So this episode number 1700 is going to be about 5 things about me. Why that's important is, I went to VidCon in June 2014, just about a month and 2 weeks ago. And for me, it was a great way of understanding the art form and also where are we with videos in general. And I suspect out of 24,000, I think I was the only person, interested in the beverage art forms or wine video reviews or wine subject matter. And, for me, that taught me, just because there weren't other people who were interested didn't mean I couldn't take away things from this VidCon experience. And for me, one was to, give, I think, more coloration as to who I am. Who's James the Wine Guy? Who's James Melendez? And I think that's the whole point of that, giving that coloration and depth and the YouTube experience. I'm a huge YouTube fan. And so for me, that was one way of getting to that point. So number 1700, my milestones, like 1600, 1500, and so forth, have always been about maybe just a thank you, a general thank you. And ultimately, that really is a vlog. And so for me, I think the general vlog is to give coloration and interesting factoids about myself. So I'll start with number one. Number one. People know that I hate to drive. It is the thing that I will do whatever I can to avoid doing. I'll go to destinations that don't require driving. Hence, Europe is a really easy place to visit because you don't need a car. And unlike most of the U.S., where you need a car unless you're in a coastal city. And so for me, the reasons are, I think manifold. One is that I have so many things to do that if I spend in traffic every single day, like some people do, which is unfortunate, I don't think anybody enjoys being in the car, 2 hours a day, if not longer periods of time. But for me, it's my way of, garnering my time and, using my time to its best capacity. And also driving in San Francisco is like driving in, an episode of The Simpsons. It can be a little crazy, especially during rush hour. 5 miles per hour is really, hardly a speed that gets you anywhere. In fact, I remember some movie years ago that I watched where somebody was walking, or maybe, I don't remember the exact context, and so that person was, beating the traffic. And so sometimes that's what I feel like it's here in San Francisco. Of course, I do love driving a high-speed or high-performance automobile because those are great fun to drive. But, generally, it's not fun to drive when you're going through city traffic during rush hour, during, appointment time, and you're going from appointment to appointment and you're, running behind. Not fun. So in general, and I hate to drive to wine countries. Yes, it seems contradictory. But fortunately, I have enough people around who do enjoy or don't mind driving. I think it's a better way of saying that. And I'm fortunate to know enough of those people. So factoid number 2 that I think is kind of interesting. So I do talk about cheese a lot, but I'm not a huge cheese eater. And in fact, it was just up until a few years ago, I would have never eaten cheese. And for me, it's really coming around to getting to that base protein. And for me, it's just one of those sensitivities that I don't think it's an allergy necessarily. It is something that's a little more, distinct, and, the scent characteristics were just too intense for me. And over time, I've really gotten to enjoy cheese, but it's not something that I need a cheeseburger or, sometimes I order my pizzas without cheese. Yeah, I know, that's kind of like people always say to me, well, how is it pizza? Well, okay, I'm not going to admit to that one being not pizza, but I think the other part is, I don't drink everything on my wine table, and here's a picture of my wine table. Simply because if I drank everything on my wine table, I would be incoherent all the time, and hence nothing would get done. So unfortunately, I don't drink, or maybe fortunately, I don't drink everything on my wine table. I do taste something, every single bottle that I do receipt, but ultimately I don't, I try to share. I think it's a really great way of, experiencing wine. So it's what I call the social pizza. And number 4, I'm a YouTube junkie. And that's something that, yes, I freely admit, don't mind. That's why I went to VidCon. It's a great place to visit. But for me, being a YouTube junkie is also going back to yesteryear videos and finding out what I enjoyed maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago when I was a kid, and so forth. So it's a really fun way of understanding, getting back, remembering, but also looking forward to certain things. Maybe I want to look at a particular region in the world and see what it looks like before I get there. What's the airport look like? And so YouTube is an amazing thing. It's also a great learning tool. So that's why I'm a YouTube junkie. And number 5 is I love to cook. Love it, love it, love it. But I rarely ever have time to cook, which is disappointing to me because ultimately I have a lot of dinners to go to, or that I have so much food left over from maybe dinner I've made and I can only do once a week dinners. I used to cook every other day, and I used to cook dinners for people, and unfortunately I don't have that kind of time anymore. But at least for U.S. Thanksgiving, I'll be cooking dinner. So those are 5 things about me, but I also would love to hear your comments down below. Well, I'd love to know your thoughts, and questions are entertained as well. So 5 things about me. Thank you again for watching. Representative colors here, white and red. So stay tuned for more video reviews, more vlogs, and more just general educational wine videos, and even just the beverage art forms in general. So again, thank you. Stay tuned for more, and salud.